Ryan McCaffrey with IGN here. I am joined by the Andrew Yoon Legend Award winner this year from the New York Video Game Critics Circle, the one and only Tim Schafer of Double Fine Productions. Tim, it is so nice to see you, and congratulations on this honor.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. Thanks for talking to me, and I'm really excited about getting this legend. Yeah, I've been branding myself with that name for years on Twitter, so
That's
it's great.
true.
I'm so
It's
glad that finally
self-fulfilling
paid
prophecy.
off.
Exactly. You join quite an esteemed list of people who've won this. So, to just give people a quick background, the Andrew Yoon Legend Award recognizes individuals and organizations that exhibit a significant, sustained body of work that shows exceptional achievement and innovation. And your colleagues in this, your fellow winners, I don't know if you get a green jacket like the Masters or quite how that works, but Reggie Fils-Aimé has won this, Jade Raymond, Richard Garriott, Todd Howard, the collective of Rockstar Games, Ralph Baer, Hideo Kojima. It is an impressive list. So in all seriousness, I mean, congratulations. This is awesome.
So it's not just for being old.
There's a lot of young people on this list.
That's great. No, it is a big honor, and I'm glad I don't have to share it like the Rockstar guys had to.
No, it is all yours. You can lord it over the rest of the Double Fine team.
That's what I do. I'm gonna wear it around my neck on a necklace. Yeah.
I want to thank the New York Video Games Critics Circle for inviting me to sit down with you here to talk through this, because I get to sit down with you on a sort of regular basis through my work at IGN and talk about whatever you're working on. But in this case, we get to just turn the camera just only at you because you're what matters. And we're going to talk about you and what you've been up to. And I wanted to start with that list of winners. I mean, when you look and you listen to that list of winners, what is your reaction to joining that group and receiving this award?
It's like quite a diverse types of games. You know what I mean? There's no one type of game that's been recognized a lot. So it's just shows part of the breadth of the games as an art form, and what a great group of people that have been working in that industry for so long.
Now, your most recent project, of course, 2021's Psychonauts 2, which I have behind me here. Tell me about the journey with this game, which, by the way, has also won a New York Video Game Critics Circle Award for Best Game of the Year. So, just a little mild recognition. But it started as a crowd-funded project to now finishing it with the resources of Microsoft behind you, and it's was nominated and recognized for a lot of awards this past year. So how has the journey with Psychonauts 2 been?
And before that, it was 15 years or so since we shipped Psychonauts 1, and it was just like a document I had open, putting ideas into over the years. So we had a lot of ideas, and it was amazing to just get that project started. It was a bit of a roller coaster, up and down, different funding sources, but that's the life of the indie games development scene. And then we ended up with Xbox Game Studios, who kind of gave us a nice safe landing where everyone could actually how far am I going to take that airplane metaphor? Deplane safely. We all were able to safely deplane, and deliver the goods undamaged. Yeah, there we go.
No parachuting out, no inflatable slides to escape. It was a nice, peaceful, orderly exit from the plane.
We realized partial way into this game, that's right, Psychonauts games are really, really hard, because each level has to be this checklist of is it something you've never seen before? Is it something that feels really original and fresh? And does it also answer all these narrative questions about the person whose mind you're inhabiting? Because, if you don't know, you get to go into people's minds. Should I mention that? You get to go into people's minds. And so each level has to tell a lot about the story of the mind that you're in.
Now, the arc of Double Fine, even, forget about just Psychonauts 2, the greater arc of the studio, Double Fine, is, I find it somewhat poetic, and I want to get your perspective on it from obviously being employee number one. The company started with you guys signing a deal with Microsoft for Psychonauts 1, only to have them drop you. And then
I don't remember what happened. Something I forget how it ended, but yeah, we did sign a contract with them.
You ended up, the game came out, thanks Majesco for getting Psychonauts 1 out, because we love the game. But now, again, it comes back around. You celebrate the 20th anniversary of Double Fine, still going strong by releasing Psychonauts 2, a game that, as we just said, started as a crowdfunded FIG campaign and ended with Microsoft giving you more time and resources. So I feel like just kind of a nice poetic bookends on the sort of 20-year journey of the studio so far.
I mean, they came into Psychonauts 2 at a very similar point to where they had departed Psychonauts 1. So I think they just oh, that's right, we never finished Psychonauts. So they came back, finished it, and now everyone has a good feeling of closure.
Was there a specific moment in the development of Psychonauts 2 where you knew it was going to be something special? I know every game can be different. I don't know if you just kind of felt like right away in that Word doc before you even really fundamentally started writing any code that like, yes, this is going to be great, or if it kind of hits you later, or if it's not even till it comes out and the reviews come in. I'm just sort of curious what your perspective on if there was an aha moment for Psychonauts 2.
It's a mix of so many things. Like, in one hand, I just knew it was going to be special because I love Psychonauts, and there's no way we're not going to let it be something special. But then there's also this people like who do a lot of creative stuff often never feel the thing they're working on is special, because that's what keeps them working on it so hard until the very end when it's pulled out of your hands. You're like, oh God, I hope that was good because I did my best. And so it's really hard when you're really close to a game to tell if it's going to be special or not. We had put a ton of, everyone on the team puts a lot of heart and soul into the game. There are all these different things. And these little moments, you hear a line of dialogue and you laugh at it. You're like, oh, that actor really nailed it. Like, oh, that's, and so you see a piece of art that looks beautiful, or, and you like, I think, okay, these individual elements are amazing. And you can't tell off until really close to the end that they're all coming together to make something that's even better than the sum of the parts. And so when I think it was when we first started getting our first playback feedback from people, where people were reacting to it really strongly. And, we started feeling like that we had pulled it off.
Where in the process of Psychonauts 2 did Microsoft come in? The studio acquisition was 2019, I think. Gosh, time is lost to me now, but
pre-COVID,
yeah. So when do they come in and just know? We know that Phil Spencer plays everything. He is a true gamer.
He tweets the screenshots in case you don't believe him. He's like, I finished Psychonauts.
He's got the receipts. Yeah, he's got the receipts. He's on Destiny like every night, but he plays everything. And so, when Microsoft comes in, is that like an energizing moment for you and the team where you're, I'm sure, getting positive feedback from them? And are they telling you like, great, we want to put more time and resources into this? Like, can you talk about that portion of the project?
I mean, their question was always, how can we help? Like, that really, it sounds like too good to be true, but really that's what they often ask when they show up. They're like, how can we help? And like, well, I'd like to polish this game, make it really good, and put boss fights back in, and a few things like that. But also, they can help with like testing. They helped us get the game checked out for people with, get consultation about mental health and other types of tests to make sure that the game, because the game got Psychonauts 2 got a really positive response from people about things like mental health and about various aspects of the story that hit well. But that only happened because we got to test it and, make some corrections and check our blind spots and make sure that it was telling the story we wanted to tell. So those are a lot of things that they also helped with. So so that's when they came in. I mean, we still had like, a year to go or so when they came in. So they were able to look at it, but they never got involved. Never tried to interfere creatively, except for to be like, here are our services for testing, So.
Oh, that's great. So let's look ahead. What is the future of Double Fine now that you're with Microsoft? You've got a clean slate with Psychonauts 2 now done and out the door, and winning awards and getting recognized. Because I've followed Double Fine since its inception, and we've been lucky that IGN's been right down the street from Double Fine. We get to pop in and see you guys from time to time. And, the studio has had a few different phases of its own over its 20 years. I mean, you had a large scale project with Brutal Legend, and you've come back to that now. You just did one with Psychonauts 2. You've broken the team into multiple smaller teams to do stuff like stacking and costume quest. So now that your sort of financial future is secure as part of Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios, do you want to go back to multiple projects, stay with a bigger one that can have a bigger budget, or grow the studio? I'm just wondering how you want to treat the next 5 to 10 years of Double Fine.
And that's a great question, because in some ways everything's changed, in some ways nothing's changed, in that our modus operandi has always been to follow our inspiration. Ever since we started was like, we get in a good idea for a game, we get something that really makes us excited. and then we chase it. And that's how we've always operated. So that means, we're going to do big games or small games. It's really about those ideas. If we get an idea for a big game, get an idea for a small game, that's what's going to tell us where we go next. What's changed about that is that we don't have to spend so much money. Okay, we're chasing our inspiration, but here's some things we have to do for money. Oh my gosh, we got to do this business thing for money. We got to take on this project we're not 100% sure if we can do or like how we're going to do it. Or there were times where we were just as an independent game studio. You're out in the open water, just trying to grab anything that's floating. You're just trying to, find out what's going to work for you. We're always able to do that and stumble into these great things like that Kickstarter campaign or self-publishing and things like that. But that whole problem is gone. And now it's really just about the inspiration, which I think is really exciting.
I mean, to that end, can we look forward to you specifically writing and directing more games now that, as you've said, since the Microsoft acquisition, you don't have to spend your time as the head of the studio running around and looking for funding anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think that does free up a lot more of my time to maybe not be late with my writing all the time. Things like that. I think the team would really appreciate. So it does take more time to get creatively involved and see what ideas come next.
Do you think you want to grow the studio headcount wise, or kind of keep it roughly the same? I know that's to your point earlier about things being both changed and still the same. I'm just sort of curious if that's changed the calculus for you and how you feel about Double Fine as a culture and as a studio.
I definitely like the size that we're at. I think if a few additions would be fun. But in general, we just like to take that slow, because when you add a lot of people really quickly, it's hard to maintain your culture. Are
you going to kind of hire from all around the world now and not necessarily be looking to bring anyone you hire to San Francisco to work out of the studio?
I mean, it's interesting how much has changed. We started the company here just because that's where I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was in Marin for LucasArts, and we started the company in San Francisco, and it has gotten more and more expensive, and you want your team to be able to, buy houses and stuff like that. So it's hard to do here. So it's interesting to see how that does open us up to having people. We have people on the team who are living in all different countries, different places, different states. So it gives us a lot of flexibility with that for sure. And I feel like everything's changed. I think every company is realizing this has changed a lot.
Do you have a favorite game that you've made in your career? Because I have a guess as to what you'd say, and I'll tell you in a minute. But first, I want to hear your answer if you're willing to pick a favorite kid.
No, I mean, each one of the games is something that makes it special to me. So it's really hard to say that one is my favorite. I love the characters and Raz, and Psychonauts. I love, working with those actors, and that story is really fun. But there's so much that made Brutal Legend special, and there's so much that made, Grim Fandango special, and Throttle and Data Tentacle, and there's every single one. So what's your guess?
I thought you would have said, I'm not
Happy
surprised.
Action Theater. It's Happy Action Theater.
Well, that was cool too. It's one of the better uses of Kinect.
I mentioned that one a lot because that's the one, and it's called Kinect Party now. You can still get it I think through some magic means, but it's a Kinect game that anybody could play. And I've seen so many. My daughter still likes me to turn it on whenever she has a birthday party and stuff. So I think it's still something that brings a lot of joy to people. So maybe that one, but I still want to hear your guess.
I thought you would say, if you were willing to go out on a limb and pick one, I thought you would say Brutal Legend, just because you're such a heavy metal fan, and you seem like you had so much fun working with Jack Black and working on that game. I thought that would be the one that you might narrow in on.
But I mean, exactly. It was an incredible fantasy dream come true project for me. And I still think about that game, and we get a lot of requests to do a sequel to it. And it's definitely a world that I love, and a game that I love. And it's, like you said, super fun to work with Jack. But I can't pick a favorite. How can I pick a favorite? Huh?
Well, I guess, do we need to wait 15 years before the window opens for a Brutal Legend 2? Is that the established protocol at this point?
I think right now it's mostly that after doing a sequel, there's been some technical other games that I've worked on that have been sequels, but the first real big follow-up to a big story was Psychonauts 2. And I think it leads me to want to do new original stuff for the next phase. Coming up with new ideas is really where my head is at right now.
Because I know the last time you and I talked on IGN, I had tried to pin you down on making a new Banjo game for us, after you joined the Microsoft family. And
you see, you're confused on what studio you're talking to.
I got to do my own thing, which I completely get. So And now
Yeah.
they're
Plus,
just buying more
if
things.
it was a rare game, it would be Blast Core. I think we covered that.
I've been reading the Monkey Island Chronicles book, which is part of the new Monkey Island anthology that just literally boxes the whole franchise together. That's kind of gotten me thinking about your whole career. And you talked about how you got started real young and just started doing a little bit of everything with Ron Gilbert at Lucasfilm. And so when you first got into this business as a young, I guess we'd probably just call it jack of all trades at Lucasfilm in terms
Well,
of
the
game
title
development.
was assistant designer / programmer, or scumlet, as they call it, scumlet. But when they hired us, they're like, you have to do some playtesting too. So
that sounds like a jack of all trades to me. We should have put that on the card.
I never wrote music.
Michael Land had that on lock.
Yeah, he was doing all right. So
he's pretty good at it.
You got this covered.
But back then, did you have like an overarching career goal at that point in time? Because I'm curious what the Lucasfilm version of you would think of the award-winning Tim Schafer today, who's made so many amazing, wonderful games.
Why did it take you so long to win that award? I was like, oh my God, 20 years. No, I thought video games were made by people much smarter than myself, because I was playing them since I was a little kid, and I was like, how do they make these amazing things? They must be scientists of some kind. And I also, after I left college, I applied at Atari, like, I want to get a job in video games. And I got turned down. So I was like, oh, obviously different types of people. So I thought I was going to be like a database programmer or do some other more technical computer science type job. And then I'd write. I was really into creative writing, so I thought I'd do creative writing like at night, my spare time, while I had this job, because that's what Kurt Vonnegut did. He worked as an engineer during the day, and then he wrote short stories at night. So I was like, I guess I'll do that. And then I saw this job listing for LucasArts, which was like, we need programmers who can write dialogue. And I was like, what? I've been like preparing for this my whole life. I didn't even realize it.
Xbox Game Pass, does that make you think any differently about the kinds of games that you want to make moving forward, or even think differently at all? Because it's obviously such a huge part of the Xbox ecosystem now. I'm just curious if it even enters your mindset as a creative game designer or not.
Yeah. I mean, nothing changes as far as like, we want to make a great game that people like, right? That's the same. But it was a big part of, deciding whether or not to become part of the Xbox Game Studios, group family, because it seemed like a good home for the kind of games we like to make, which are a little strange or a little, we always push to do something the most creative, most original thing we can think of. And, in the old days, if you're in a, brick and mortar store and you're holding up two like $70 games and you're like, do I buy this weird thing I've never heard of before? Or do I buy this thing that's a sequel to something I know I like? And it's really hard to compete against that, if you're trying to do something new and original. But on Game Pass, there's not that scary decision to make. It's just like, do I have time to download this game? Like, yes, okay, I'll check it out, because there's something that looks a little unique, but it just lowers that barrier to entry, and people are probably, I think, more willing to try a game that they're not entirely familiar with, because it's already paid for. So they will check out our games, and I hope it'll lead to more people discovering all of Double Fine's games. But I get people reaching out on Twitter and stuff saying they play Broken Age or something that has been out for a long time, but now it's on Game Pass and they can check it out. So yeah, I have noticed that.
What was your reaction when you saw the Activision Blizzard news?
I had the same reaction a lot of people had, which is like, this is huge news for the games industry, but I don't know exactly what will change. But I have a lot of faith in Phil's judgment and what his plans are, and I think it's good for a lot of reasons, but it doesn't have a huge effect on what we're doing.
Sure, yeah, and I know you just got done saying that you want to do your own thing now, but
yeah,
are there any IPs, franchises in that are now like within your arm's reach that you looked at and went, well, maybe someday I might want to do something with that?
Finally get my revenge on King's Quest is what you mean. No,
that's true. That's true. No, it's the LucasArts Sierra rivalry.
Yeah,
can be finally put to rest.
Yeah. Someone was Brad Muir was suggesting that we take on Warcraft Adventures, the full throttle era adventure game that they made and finished that. But no, we like to make up our own stuff at Double Fine, so they will not be handing us any IPs soon.
I'm sure if you asked, you could probably get any of them that you wanted. That's the fun part.
Totally. If we run out of ideas at Double Fine, we will totally think about asking them. One
of your original things got turned into a awesome cartoon that I watched with my daughter, and we both loved it, and that's Costume Quest.
Costume Quest, yeah, that was a great cartoon on Amazon.
Is that coming back at all? Like I was doing my research for this interview, and it seems like I don't know if that's still going, if it's kind of done, or
Not that I've heard. I haven't heard of any new episodes, which was a shame because it was a great piece. It had some great people working on it, and Frederator Studios, and it was I thought a really well done cartoon.
Are there any other Double Fine games, Double Fine things you've made that you'd either like to see turned into live action shows or animated shows?
We often get approached by people saying, "Hey, can we turn this into a movie?" But it's usually just a distraction. Like I think games are what I really care about and what I like to make and what I think are interesting. And it comes up every once in a while, but it has never turned into anything. There's just a lot. We've had a lot of lunches. I've got a lot of free lunches out of Hollywood. But,
Psychonauts seems like it'd be a brilliant cartoon in the right hands.
And you can do tons of stuff with Psychonauts, but games are cooler than movies and TV.
That's true.
So it's already peaked. Why?
I did hear that Duncan Jones, the speaking of Warcraft, the director of Warcraft, wants to do a Full Throttle movie, and he even wrote a script.
He wrote a script. It's good too. I read the whole thing.
He posted it on Twitter.
You can tell he really played the game and knows what it's all about. So yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it'd be fun to work with Duncan, but L.A. and Hollywood, they're just like a big whirlpool of lunches.
In the spirit of reflecting back on your career to date in recognition of this award that you're receiving, I'm going to list some of your games, and I'm going to just do them completely out of order to try and catch you a little off guard. Tell me the first thing that pops in your head.
You're going to do free association.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Grim Fandango.
Bones.
Full Throttle.
Gasoline.
Broken Age.
Spaceships and sugar. No, I messed that one up.
Brutal Legend.
Metal, blood, fire, and noise.
Day of the Tentacle.
Tentacle suckers.
Psychonauts.
Brains.
Double Fine Happy Action Theater.
Pigeons and lava.
And Psychonauts 2.
Love.
And now there are other Double Fine games, but I tried to zero in specifically on Tim Schafer directed games because we don't know, full love to Costume Quest and to stacking and some of these other.
If you brought the other ones, I'd just be like Lee. Lee makes me think about Lee and his beard.
Well, Tim Schafer, again, congratulations. You have won the New York Video Game Critics Circle, the Andrew Yoon Legend Award, which is just fantastic. And again, Psychonauts 2 has won the Statue of Liberty Award for Best World. No surprise there. You're going into Cool Brains. And the Big Apple Award for that Best Game of the Year, Psychonauts 2. Tim Schafer, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. And in all seriousness, congratulations. I've told you Full Throttle is my favorite Tim Schafer game, but I love them all.
It's great talking to you too. Thank you and thanks to New York Game Critics Circle too. But it's awesome we talked about that. Thanks.